Hi, so today I'm teaching something about chords. So I have here 7 cups, and these 7 cups are like the keys on the piano from C up to B, and then we would start over with C. So the first thing I want to make sure that you all understand is that this is called an octave. If we put one more cup at the end, which is another C, we get an octave, C to C. Can you play that on your piano? C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Good. All right, you're with me then. All right, can you see that I have some letters on there? Okay, so now I wanted to show you how we make a chord on each of these places on the octave. First of all, since we are starting on C, C will be our number 1 note in this octave. Number 1 note. And we're going to call it Roman numeral 1. This is number 1 note. This is number 2 note. Number 2 place. This is number 3 place. Number 4 place. Number 5 place. Number 6 place. Number 7 place. And here is the 8th place, or the end of the octave. Now when we make a chord, we play 3 notes at the same time. So, and chords are skips. So imagine yourself going up some stairs and you're going to skip a step and jump up, skipping one, and jump up, skipping another one. We do that on the piano too. So we're going to take our C, our little C, number 1 place. We're going to skip up here. See, so I've skipped D. Now I'm going to E. See, here's E. Make sure you can see it. C, E. And now I've got 1 more note to put in. So I'm going to skip another one. I skipped F. And now we have C, E, G. C, E, G. Skipping up. What did we skip between C and E? D. What did we skip between E and G? F. C, E, G. This is what we call a chord, because when we play those keys together, wow, we get a really good sound. Can you play C, E, G? C, E, G, all together. Very good. All right. So that's our C chord because it started off with C at the bottom. Now let's make another chord. Let's try making a chord on the 4th position of the scale. 1 position is C, 2 position is D, 3rd position is E, 4th position is F. This is a good place to make a chord, starting on F. All right, so if we're going to skip over G. What are we going to play with F? A. And if we skip again, we're going to skip over B, and we're going to have a C at the top. So now we have another chord called the F chord because F is at the bottom. F, A, and we have C right here. Okay? Let's try finding that on the piano. We'll put our thumb on F, F, A, C. Aha! That sounds good. Sounds different than C chord. C chord is lower. F chord is higher. Okay. Let's make 1 more chord. Let's try making one on the 5th position of this scale here. So C is 1st position, D is 2nd position, E is 3rd position, F is 4th position, G is the 5th position on the scale. All right, G is going to be on our bottom, so we're going to call this chord G. So we're going to skip. So we're going to skip over G, over A. We're not going to play A, but we're going to use B. G, B, and we're going to skip over C, and we're going to have D in our chord. So now we have a G chord, G, B, D, G, B, D. Wonder what that sounds like. G, B, D. Aha, very good. So that is our G chord. It's in the 5th position of the scale. And we're going to have some fun with our G chord here for a minute. I'm going to put some of these away. So we're only just looking at the G chord one. All right, G, B, D. So these are all a skip apart, G, B, D. But, you know, you can do something fun called inversions. Inversions, that's when you take a note in a chord and put it in a different position. So if we put G on the top, we have a chord, it's a G chord, but it's in a different way, it's in a different position. Now we have B, D, and then we have a bigger space here because it's not just a skip to get to G. It is actually 2 skips to get to G. Try that. So start on B, skip up to D, and now skip 2 white keys and go to G. Ooh, what we did is we just turned this chord upside down. We inverted it. Well, we really didn't turn it completely upside down, but we put the G on the top. G, B, or B, D, G. Yep. And we call this the first way to invert it, or the first inversion. You could invert it one more time. You could put the B on the top. All right. With the B on the top, we have now D, G, B. D, G, B. Still the same notes of the G chord, but in a totally different order. Let's try playing that. B, and then we have, D, sorry. We have D, and then we skip 2 white keys, so there's a bigger space here between the B, or the D and the G. It's more than a skip. So we go D, G, and then we get to the top. Whoa, that's still a G chord. It is still a G chord, but in a different order. So we call this doing it a second time, or a second inversion of putting 1 chord on top. Now, what happens if we invert it again? Does this look familiar? Yep, G, B, D. Well, that's what we started with. So we really only have 2 ways of inverting it. We have the first way, which is all skips. That's the chord. That's the number 1 chord. Then we can put the G on top and have a little bigger space between these 2 notes. We could put the B on top and have a little bigger, or the D on, B on top, and now we would have a bigger space down here, and it would be a skip from G to B. That's what we call inversion. Invert means to turn upside down. We're really not turning it upside down, we're just moving the note to a different position. Inverting the chords. Let's invert one other chord. Let's invert our C chord. All right, so here is C, here is E, and now here's G. Okay, C, E, G. That's our root chord. That's our number 1 chord if we're in the C to C octave. That's our number 1 chord, C, E, G. So when we invert it, so it sounds like this. When we invert it, we put the C on top. Now there's going to be a bigger space up here. So this is going to be a skip, E to G, and then there's going to be 2 keys that we skip to get back to C. So it's going to sound like this. Still a C chord. Still the same notes, but we've just turned them around. And if we do it again, and this time put the E on the top, now we have G, C, E, and the bigger space is here. There's 2 white keys between G and C, and only a skip between here. Let's see what that sounds like. So still a C chord. Sounds a little different, but it's the same tones. All right, and then if we invert it again, we're right back where we started from, C, E, G. We're just an octave higher. All right, so that's a little bit about how to invert chords. One other thing that we can talk about, we can make, let's put our scale back down. So we're going to find our C. Here we are. Let's do C through C. Let's put it in alphabetical order. C, and then we have D, we have E, we have F, we have G, we have A, we have B, and we have C again. Okay, so here they are in order. Whoops, I'm losing my C. All right, just wanted you to know that we can make a chord on the beginning of each of these. So it would work like this. Just need a few more cups here. So when we build a chord on C, we get the C chord, C, E, G. We've already talked about that, and that's a pretty happy chord. C, E, G. I call it, well, it's called a major chord, and I call it just a happy chord. C, E, G. When we make a chord starting on D, we get D, F, A. Oh, listen to that. I'm thinking that one has a little mystery to it. So I'm going to put a cap on it with a little bit of a dark blue rim. So that is more a minor chord. You see, C is the happy chord. D is a minor chord. It's got a hat on because it's a little different, mysterious. And then we have E. Do you think that needs to have a mystery hat on? What do you think? I think it does sound mysterious, so we're going to put a mystery hat on that. So now we have a major chord, a minor mystery chord, another minor mystery chord, and then we have F. What do you think? Major or minor? Yeah, major. So we don't need a hat. Then we have G. We make another chord here, G, B, D. Major or minor? What do you think? Yes, it is major. Does it need a hat? How about this one that we start on A? Yep, that has a bit of mystery, so I'm going to put a hat on that because it's a little mysterious, kind of like a detective hat. And then this one that starts on B. Whoa, that's a different one. Definitely. This one, in fact, needs even a different kind of hat. So this is going to have a hat because it's not major, it's not minor, it's called a diminished B chord. Diminished means that the top note is just a half step down. And then we're going to give that hat. It doesn't have any black on it. And then we're back. So we can build chords on every single one of our C scale notes. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. C, D, E, F, G, A, B diminished, and home to C. So that's a little bit about how we make chords. So hopefully that was helpful.